Right. So, there is this version of me. He is about 26. He has just bought a new pair of running shoes, and he is absolutely convinced that this time is different. The shoes are quite good, actually. Proper ones. Not the cheap ones from the sports shop next to the chicken place. No, these are the ones with the orange laces and the little diagram on the box showing a man mid-stride, looking like he genuinely enjoys being alive. I remember holding them in the shop and thinking, yes, this is it. This is the beginning of a new chapter. I wore them twice. They lived under my bed for about 8 months after that, gathering dust next to a library book I had not returned, and a self-help audiobook I had downloaded but never actually started. All of them full of potential, none of them doing anything useful. And the thing is, I did not think I had a discipline problem. I thought I just had a motivation problem. Like if I could just find the right podcast or the right moment, or the right level of personal crisis, I would finally become the sort of man who followed through on things. It took me an embarrassingly long time to figure out those are not the same thing at all. So, 5 levels of discipline. Not the gym bro version where everyone is getting up at 4 in the morning and having cold showers and looking furious about it. Just the quiet, honest, slightly boring version. The one that actually works. The one I wish someone had drawn out for me about 15 years ago, probably while I was buying yet another pair of trainers I was not going to use. Level 1 is where most of us live for longer than we would like to admit. And I say that with full affection because I lived there for years. Level 1 is intention. It is the mental version of doing things. You mean to start. You are going to start. You have, in fact, had a very solid conversation with your mate about starting. You might have even watched a YouTube video about the best way to start. You have the intention. You have the energy of someone who is about to do something. You just have not done it yet. The trainers, the journal, the gym bag sitting in the boot of the car like a sad, zipped-up accusation. I bought that bag in January. It was still in its original packaging in April. Every time I opened the boot to get the shopping out, there it was, just sitting there, waiting, patient in a way I found slightly threatening. Level 1 is not a character flaw. It is just the starting position. The problem is not arriving there. The problem is staying there for 6 years and calling it a personality. Level 2 is better, but not by as much as it feels. Level 2 is occasional action. You do the right thing, but only when you feel like it. Which sounds fine until you notice how often you do not feel like it. You go for a run when the weather is nice and your knee is not playing up, and the kids are not being nightmares, and you are not too tired from work, and there is no good telly on. So, twice a year roughly. And it always feels great. That is the annoying part. You go for the run, you feel brilliant, you come back thinking, why do I not do this every day? This is wonderful. I am a different man. And then you sit on the sofa for the rest of the evening, eat half a packet of biscuits, and somehow never go again until April. Motivation is real. I am not saying it is not. It is a lovely feeling. It is just completely unreliable as a strategy. Waiting to feel motivated before doing something useful is like waiting to feel hungry before learning to cook. You will occasionally get there, but mostly you are just ordering takeaway. Level 3 is where things actually start to shift, and it is, I will warn you, deeply unglamorous. Level 3 is basic consistency. Small things, done regularly, even when you cannot be bothered. That is it. That is the whole secret. I am sorry. I know it is not very exciting. This is not 6 hours of preparation on a Sunday morning. This is just, you said you were going to do something, so you do it. Not because you feel inspired. Not because the conditions are perfect. Just because it is Tuesday, and on Tuesdays you do this thing now. I remember the first time I started properly cooking proper food instead of whatever was easiest from the freezer. Not every night, nothing dramatic, just Monday and Wednesday, I cook something actual. And for the first 3 weeks, I genuinely resented it. Standing in the kitchen at 6:30, tired, chopping something, thinking, I could have had toast. This is unreasonable. But somewhere around week 5, I stopped thinking about it. It just became a Monday thing. The negotiation disappeared. And that small, boring disappearance of the argument I used to have with myself, that is the actual victory of level 3. Not the thing you are doing. The fact that you stopped debating whether to do it. One missed day, by the way, does not matter. I want to say that clearly. One missed day is a Tuesday. Missing 6 months because one Tuesday went wrong, that is the thing to avoid.
The streak is not the point. The returning is the point.
Level 4 is the strange one, because it is not really about behavior anymore. It is about identity. Somewhere between doing a thing consistently and doing it for long enough, something shifts. You stop being a man who is trying to get up earlier, and you become a man who gets up at a reasonable time. You stop being a man who is attempting to drink less, and you become a man who mostly does not drink on weeknights. The identity comes after the behavior, not before. We tend to want it the other way round. We want to feel like a healthy person before we do healthy things. We want to feel like a disciplined man before we act like one. I certainly did. I spent years waiting to feel like the sort of person who had things sorted before I actually sorted anything. Which is a bit like waiting to feel like a swimmer before getting in the water.
And I notice this with my boys now.
They are still young, but I can already see how much of what they become will come down to what they just quietly do every day. Not the big moments, not the grand gestures, just what they do when nobody is watching and nobody is impressed, and there is nothing external pushing them along. That is the thing I want most for them, genuinely. Not ambition, not success in any specific shape, just the ability to keep a promise to themselves, to be a man their future self can trust. Which brings me to level 5. And I want to be careful here because this one gets misrepresented badly. Level 5 is not waking up at 4 in the morning. It is not an ice bath. It is not some 47-step morning routine done in a specially lit room while listening to a binaural beats podcast. If that is your thing, I wish you well, genuinely. But that is not what this is. Level 5 is quiet self-respect. It is the feeling you get when you are sitting in the kitchen on a Sunday morning with a cup of tea that is actually still hot. Because you made it and then immediately drank it like an adult, and you think, right, I am in reasonable shape. Not perfect, not impressive, just, I am mostly doing what I said I would do. I am mostly who I want to be. That sounds small. It is not small. Because the opposite of that, and I have felt the opposite, is sitting in the kitchen at 11:30 on a Wednesday, eating something cold out of a container, knowing you have not done a single thing you meant to do this week, and feeling that low, gray flatness of a man who has quietly let himself down again. Not dramatically, just slowly, consistently, in ways that are individually forgivable and collectively quite sad. Level 5 is not the absence of failure. I still miss days. I still eat things I should not eat at hours I should not be awake. I still occasionally find myself standing in the bathroom at 7 in the morning, staring at the mirror under that horrible strip light, wondering where the last 20 minutes went. But mostly, I do what I said I would do. And that feeling, that quiet, undramatic, not very photogenic feeling of being a man who follows through more often than not, it turns out that is the whole thing. That is the freedom. Not the discipline as punishment, the discipline as freedom. Later, after you have put in the boring Tuesday afternoons when you could not be bothered. The goal was never to become extreme. It was just to become reliable. Reliable to myself first. Reliable as a father second. Someone my boys could look at in 20 years and think, he was not perfect, but he showed up. He did the thing. Even on the days when he definitely did not want to. If any of this sounds familiar, the trainers, the gym bag, the starting on Monday for 6 years running, leave a comment. Not because misery loves company, though it does, slightly, but because it helps to know that level 1 is just the starting position, not the destination. And somewhere between Tuesday and the Tuesday after that, things quietly start to change.